Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ali Gohar. Well, the first half of the show, we're going to focus on the Pakistan Cup. There's a game currently going on right now between Federal and Balochistan. And Federal haven't had the greatest tournament, but they've done quite well so far in this match. They managed to bowl out Balochistan for 289, I believe. Sadaf Hussain was amongst the wickets. He picked up 4. But in the final, which will be held on the 12th of April, Balochistan will be taking on Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So we're going to talk about the Pakistan Cup first. Then we're going to move on to the upcoming World Cup, the ICC World Cup 2019. The Pakistanis will announce their squad on the 18th of April. They've already invited 23 players for a fitness test in Lahore. So it'll be interesting to see who they take and, of course, who they don't take. New Zealand have already announced their squad. There's a lot of clarity in the New Zealand camp. So we'll talk about the World Cup and which players that the Pakistanis are obviously going to be relying on heavily. And then on the final half, the final last bit of the show, we're going to talk about squash, the international squash tournament that's being held in Islamabad. There's a lot of squash going on, and the Egyptians are dominating once again. Mohammed El Shirbani won the final. He beat Mehboob 3-2 to win the international squash tournament in Islamabad. But first, we're going to get to the Pakistan Cup with my guest in the studio. I've been joined by Mr. Rizwan Haider, who's a cricket analyst and a host on the show. Rizwan, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Right. Great to have you on.
Yeah.
And we also have Mr. Osama Safdar, another cricket analyst. Osama, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Rizwan, being the host of a show, I'm sure, for cricket, I'm sure you've been following the Pakistan Cup very closely. We've seen some good performances from batsmen, which is very heartening. Ahsan Ali, the youngster, made 100 and he played very well for the Quetta Gladiators. There's a lot of promise, a lot of potential there. Abid Ali made 90 odd runs the other day. We saw Salman Butt getting 100. Iftikhar Ahmed has also scored a couple of centuries. So those are the bright spots. It's good to see that batsmen are doing well.
Yeah, exactly. Like you almost mentioned all the players that are doing well. And particularly, I would like to talk about Iftikhar. Like, he's very underrated. He, 2 centuries, I guess, he scored in this tournament. And the other guy, the Khushdil, like, he played, like,
how could I forget that innings?
Yeah,
the best of the tournament.
Yeah, like around 105 out, and you're going to chase like 350, and you just come out, not out, scoring 150 runs. That was tremendous innings. And these are some good points. But I would like to mention one thing that the other day, like Iftikhar, after scoring 100, in the press conference, he came and when I asked them, what do you think, like Pakistan national team, it needs a hard-hitting batsman, like in the middle overs. Like, it's a dilemma that hard-hitting batsmen are not coming in the middle overs. And he was so furious. He said the PCB, like, they should not announce the probables during this tournament. Like, they should have done it after the tournament, because the players they are playing, they are disheartened, they are pulling their energies in there, and now it's in their mind that they have picked the players. And this should not have
there
been
was a small window there, right? Because the camp is what, on the 15th and 16th of April, I believe?
Yeah.
The fitness camps, the fitness test. So I don't know, maybe they had to announce it sooner rather than later. But that does make some sense. Perhaps the PCB could have announced the 23 probables later. But about Iftikhar Ahmed, there's a lot of talk about him maybe getting a position in the Pakistan side. I'm not so convinced. And I'll tell you why. Pakistan needs a hard-hitting batsman in the middle and someone who can do damage at the latter stages of the innings. I'm not so sure that he's your guy.
Yes, Ali, there has been a lot talk about Iftikhar Ahmed and Khushdil Shah. But I think Iftikhar Ahmed, we have to understand that he is a batsman who can bowl a bit 5 to 7 overs. But a batsman of this caliber who can play up to 50 overs, can rotate the strike, at times he can hit big shots as well. So Iftikhar Ahmed is one of those batsmen you cannot say him like his type of Asif Ali or AB de Villiers, but he's such type of batsman who can play for you 50 overs, can rotate the strike, can be very handy bowler for you as well. So, but in this Pakistani side, you can use Iftikhar Ahmed as a backup of Imad Wasim or Shadab.
See, gentlemen, this is what we should do here. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that this Pakistan Cup isn't important. It's very important.
Yeah.
The selectors should be there, and Wasim Haider is there watching the matches. He's been there for every single game. Wasim Haider has been there. So the selectors are taking it seriously, but at the same time, you know, when we see players doing well in domestic tournaments, while it is important, I think Pakistan A tournaments, Pakistan A bilateral series are a little more important. See, when you look at Iftikhar Ahmed against New Zealand A or Australia, you look at how batsmen and bowlers perform there. Because a bowler like Mark Wood or Adam Mill or Lockie Ferguson, they can really expose a batsman. And I think that's happened to Iftikhar Ahmed and other players on a few occasions. When they come up against world-class bowling, they tend to struggle.
Yeah, it can happen, but on the other side, if we like see Rizwan scored number of runs while playing from Pakistan A, but
And that's why he's in the
obviously he
team.
did well. But Iftikhar at the moment, like I think that during the middle overs, if we talk about, there are two main players, that Umar Akmal and the Asif, and probably there's race between one of both of them is going to be would be picked for the World Cup, I guess. But look at how many chances they have been given. The average is the same, 30, 35, and though the strike rate is probably better, but it doesn't mean that if you're coming on the number 6, so all you have to do is slogging. Like, I'm not saying only you're going to be picking the Iftikhar.
Innings
There could be
management
another,
is
obviously.
crucial,
It's
knowing how to build
but
your
they are not
innings.
learning. If you talk about Asif, those 20-25 runs and that's it. The same goes with Umar Akmal. Though he's playing well during the Australia series, we saw he couldn't finish 2 matches that he could. Obviously, he should have won those matches for Pakistan.
Just to get
but
back,
he's not learning. So my point is, like, we should also give the chance to the new players as well.
see, this is something we need to understand. We all know, and it's talked about a lot. Mickey Arthur even said it about a week ago, that Pakistan doesn't have enough 6-hitters. They don't have enough players that can finish an innings. We don't have players that specialize in the last 10 overs. Now, you see, coming in at number 6 or even number 7, you have to be a multi-dimensional player. You can't just be a 6-hitter. You can't just be an accumulator. You need to be both. Someone like MS Dhoni, right? He can do both. He can build the innings and at the same time hit big sixes when he's required to. So a finisher needs to be able to do both. I think that's very important.
Yes, Ali, absolutely. You mentioned it correctly. That, see, we are talking about Mohammad Rizwan. He has a role, he has a capability. We understand that Rizwan is such type of batsman who we all know that he cannot hit big hits, but he can rotate the strike. But the job of the other end, for example, like at number 5 and number 6 or 7, you have Imad Wasim, Shadab, or even Asif Ali or Umar Akmal. Every batsman has a capability, everyone has a role. So Rizwan or even Haris Sohail, they has a role to just build the innings. The rest, the finishing role, you should have a batsman who has got a specialized finishing role. For example, your point, Umar Akmal, Shoaib Malik, or even Imad Wasim. My point is that, Ali, that you cannot always rely on your number 3, number 4 to finish games for you.
No, see, my point is you can't just, a batsman coming in at number 6 who's required to finish the game cannot just have one facet to his game. Your finisher has to be multi-dimensional. That's why MS Dhoni is known as
you are giving
the
example
best.
one of the greats of the game, but at the moment I don't see any finisher in Pakistan's team.
Yeah.
Like there's if there was one, you can name it, but I don't think there is any. This is the crucial point. But there's one thing that they say, the Muhammad Hafiz, he can bat well when he bats like number 5, number 6 spot. His average is better, his strike rate is better, so they can probably go with that option. But at the moment, I don't think that there is any finisher that you are talking about, the MS Dhoni or any other great players that who's doing the job. But I don't see any.
I'm giving MS Dhoni the example as an example because that's the benchmark. You see, if you go back to the 90s, the best finisher was Michael Bevan, but he wasn't a big 6-hitter. He was an accumulator, and he'd get the odd boundary. You
But-
can't
but-
have
but
that
when
in
we-
modern day
when
cricket
we
anymore.
needed
The
a six-
ultimate finisher is MS Dhoni. That's what, I mean, if a player has been given a role as a finisher, it's MS Dhoni that they need to aspire towards.
Yes, really, absolutely. It's unfortunate that Pakistan do not have that sort of batsman finisher, as you mentioned. MS Dhoni, Hardik Pandya, India has, or if you call Thisara Pereira in Sri Lanka. So yes, we are lacking these sort of players. But my point is that even though you have Imad Wasim, Umar Akmal, or Shoaib Malik, they have the capability. All you need to just give them confidence, just give them their role. Their role was to not just to score 20 or 25 runs and just get out. You have to finish the game. Imad, Umar Akmal, Shoaib Malik, these all guys have the capability. The only thing you have to just groom them and give
Let's
them
move
more
on to
confidence.
another area of concern because we've got another topic, cricketing topic to discuss. One off spinner, Ashik, who bowled quite well for Sindh, but then in one of the games, I remember Umar Akmal took him to the cleaners. He looks like a talented prospect, but again, not much else after that. Pakistan are looking for an off spinner, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, but it's been quite a while. Like since Syed left, we could not like find any proper off spinner. But I don't think that this is the time. Now I believe the Imad and Shadab, they both are going to go to the World Cup. What point you are making? Yes, they can look for the future, but I don't think they should be giving chance for any other off spinner for
Yeah, for
such
the
a mega,
future,
obviously,
for the future, of
future.
course.
So the World Cup, I think that Imad Wasim and Shadab, they both gonna be the main spinners, and obviously then other
And Hafiz, if
he plays, he's
he
very
plays.
like a decent off spin bowler if he plays. So for the future, yes, right, they should be looking for other off spinners. Like it's been quite a while. Pakistan team, like they don't have any valuable off spinner at the moment.
Fielding has been a concern as well in this Pakistan Cup. I can point out or remember three brilliant pieces of fielding. Haris Rauf on the boundary, Abid Ali on the mid-wicket boundary, and then Fuad Alam's brilliant run out. That was superb, his run out at mid-off. But other than that, fielding standards have been quite poor.
Yes, Ali, fielding has been a concern for Pakistan in only domestic level. Ali, don't forget that we have improved, our Pakistani team has improved their fielding in international level. But when these guys come to play in the domestic level and domestic four-day tournament, list-day cricket, I think they are not keen to learn more. They're not keen to field well. So I think this is where these Pakistani management, they have to rethink and they
And
have
you
to
can thank
overcome
Mickey
this
Arthur and Steve Rickson for that. Mickey Arthur is everybody's punching bag these days, but the fact that Pakistan have improved their fielding, a lot of credit goes to Mickey Arthur, I believe. Right now, we've been joined by senior cricket analyst Leena Moin Aziz to discuss the Pakistan Cup in further detail. Leena, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Ali. How are you?
I'm well, thank you very much. Leena, your thoughts on this one-day tournament. Who were the standout players for you? What are the major causes for concern?
You know, they've been good. I mean, some batsmen have played good innings, like Umar Akmal's played good innings. This other young guy, I think Khushdil Shah, he's done well. Salman Butt has played a few good innings. And there's been some other batsmen, Wahab Riaz bowled well. So, you know, we've seen that in glimpses, players have played well. And the fact that, you know, Abid Ali, who was selected from the domestic and got a century against Australia, augurs well for domestic cricket. But, you know, right now when we are talking about this cup, we are talking in connection with the World Cup. But I don't see how any of these players could make an impact on the selection of the World Cup side because, in my opinion, I think the selectors and the management have already decided upon 80 or 90% of the players that they want to pick up for that World Cup. So I don't see how. I mean, I mean, if they wanted to pick up players from this tournament, the Pakistan Cup, they should have made it clear to the public or issued some statement regarding that. But none of that happened. So I believe that this is just a tournament, and they might pick up players in the future from here. But I don't think so many of these players are going to make it to the World Cup on the basis of their performances in the Pakistan Cup.
When the 23 probables were invited to the fitness test, the fitness camp in Lahore, everybody noticed that Umar Akmal and Wahab Riaz were missing. And Umar and Wahab have done quite well so far in this Pakistan Cup. And before that, they did very well in the PSL. What are your thoughts on that, their exclusion?
I absolutely agree with you. When Umar Akmal was playing well in the PSL, on our show here in your very studios, our very studios, we talked about the fact that he should be selected for the Australian five one-dayers, and he was. But when he was selected for those one-dayers, we realized, at least I realized, without a shadow of doubt, that he's still not ready for international cricket. I mean, he's got talent. There is absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But his mind and his discipline and his focus, he's not ready for international cricket. In my opinion, he should not be a part of the World Cup squad. As far as Wahab Riaz is concerned, he's been bowling well, but once again, we've seen that because of the way his action is, he can't swing the ball too much. In England, we need bowlers who can probably swing the ball a little bit, but Wahab just takes the ball across the batsman with his action and is unable to bring it back. So and on his bad day, which is quite often in international cricket, he gives a lot of runs. So I don't see both these cricketers making to the World Cup, although many of us may think that they do, but not in my opinion.
We're going to leave it at that. Lina Moin Aziz, thank you for speaking to us. Let's move on now to the World Cup. We've already discussed the 23 players that were invited to Lahore for the fitness test, and and remember, that's not set in stone. There's still some flexibility there. And rumor has it, through the grapevine, we've heard that Wahab and Umar Akmal have been asked to join the fitness camp, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to continue to talk about this with my guests in the studio. Osama, the 23 probables that have been announced, as Lina quite rightly said, I think the selectors and Mickey Arthur and Sarfaraz already know who they're going to take, the 15 men they're going to take. They've been planning this for quite some time. But overall, the 23 names that you read that were invited, what did you make of it?
Well, obviously, we have announced 23 players, but yes, it's for sure that these 23 players, they're all top performer cricketers. Some of them are playing for Pakistan, and the 6 to 7 names, they are performing the domestic cricket. But again, we have been mentioning in the previous show as well, I think if they have kept these names towards that end of the Pakistan Cup, that would have been more better. You would have got more players, would have got more options for you. So see now, Ali, you didn't even announce one replacement or one extra spinner in your 23 names. You only announced Shadab Khan and Imad Wasim. There is no extra spinner in your lineup. So this is one.
Yasir is there.
Yasir is there, off spinner. My point is that there is no one genuine off spinner which you have to include in your squad. So, but apart from that, all these 23 names, they are all well, good, capable players. And as you said, that the rumors of including Wahab, Umar Akmal, I think I wish that this rumor should have been true, that they have also called for the fitness test. So these squad will have been more solid for Pakistan.
Rizwan?
More or less, like, the team is on your fingertips. Like, there is contention like between Asif and Umar. They didn't call him for the test. And if we look at our Champions Trophy team that we won the Champions Trophy, like Imam, he has replaced Azhar, and in the place of Junaid, I guess the Shaheen, he came. But rest of the players, I think, gonna be the same, and Pakistan should be going with the same players to the World Cup. And about the 23 probables, like whatever the team select at the moment, that they say that probably like 17, 18 players they're gonna be taking to the England. And because they have the window like till 22 of May, they can, after announcing the World Cup squad, if they believe the few players like they have done well during the England series, still they can replace it like till 22nd of May. After that, obviously, you need the permission of ICC. So still they have the time, and they can give the chances to the players. And if they do well during the county matches and the series against England, they can put in. And rest of the players, I think if we just start counting our players, the Imam and the Fakhr, and then there's going to be Babar Azam. I guess if they play Haris Sohail, and then we're going to left out one like Shoaib Malik or Hafiz, because at the number 5, if comes the Sarfraz, the number 6, either it's going to be Shoaib Malik or
You
Hafiz,
see,
and then
that's
the
the
ballers.
problem here, right? Pakistan, they'll be tempted to play both Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. But then you can't have Haris Sohail, can you? And Haris Sohail has been batting well. Or you can't have Rizwan. They might decide Rizwan is a better option at number 4 than Haris Sohail. Who knows? But then, yeah, so that kills your flexibility a little bit if you play both Hafiz and Malik.
Yes, there has been contention. There has been lot of talk about whether your first 3 they are well set. Fakhr, Imam, and
for the first time
Babar.
in a long time, I was reading
Yeah,
the other day that again, I don't think some of people who speak on cricket, they're not really watching matches that are being played or following it closely, saying things like, Pakistan has a problem with the opening slot. I think this is the first time in a long time where you don't. You know exactly who's going to be batting in the opening position. And what's more, you know exactly who your number 3 is going to be.
Yes, this is a good thing, a positive thing regarding Pakistani squad. And then regarding number 4 and number 5, yes, Ali, it would be very unfortunate if you miss Haris Sohail and include Mudafiz. Really, Haris Sohail has been performing really well for Pakistan for the last 2 to 3 series. His strike rate has been improved. He's scored 200s in the previous series. So Haris Sohail should play at number 4. Then comes your number 5 spot. Yes, but Ali, one thing here that if you allow, if the captain chooses Shoaib Malik to bowl and Muhammad Hafiz 5 overs, then you can also play both players. Hafiz at number 4,
Malik
5
doesn't
and number 6.
really bowl anymore. I mean, you need, Hafiz is probably the better option because he's a crucial bowler.
Yeah,
and I say that, and I say that very, very carefully. We forget what an important role Hafiz played in the Champions Trophy
against the left-handed batsman, like we all know that how lethal he is and he takes the wickets. But I believe that if we're going to put in Haris Sohail, then we won't be able to play both Malik and Hafiz. Either the one of them going to be playing. Then I will select Hafiz because Shoaib Malik in last 20 ODI innings, he just scored 350s. His own form is like there's big question mark on his own form as well. And his average in England, like it's not very good either. So I will go with the Hafiz because the innings that you mentioned in the final at 36, 37 ball, 57 runs, and he's a decent fielder and he's a very good spin bowling option.
And with Haris, you also get another bowling option.
Yeah, exactly.
He can be a partnership breaker too. I'd be tempted to get Rizwan in there because he's improved his batting and he's improved his play against spin. He really struggled against spin early on in his career. He couldn't pick Adil Rashid, which was very strange to me because keepers are usually good at reading spinners, but he wasn't.
But Ali, we need the power hitters. Like other day, like I questioned him during this Pakistan Cup, and I said there is criticism on you that you can't hit big hits and 4s and 6s. And he's at that time working on it, but at the moment it seems that that area Pakistan needs. Like if we look on the recently concluded series of Australia and Pakistan, both teams placed almost similar sort of dot balls, but they hit more 6s and more boundaries. This area Pakistan needs to work on. So we need a power hitter. Rizwan is good, but we need someone that when it needed, he can hit the 6 and the
bit
4
of a surprise that, and this will be final thoughts, gentlemen. It's a bit of a surprise that they invited Yasir Shah. He didn't go all that well in the series against Australia. Doesn't have a great reputation in white ball cricket. We know how good he is in Test match cricket. Maybe the selectors feel that they need a backup in case something goes wrong with Shadab, but I don't think you should pick a leg spinner for the sake of picking a leg spinner. Nawaz, I think, would be a better option than Yasir Shah. That's one. Secondly, Mohammad Abbas. Again, this whole outdated thing that, in England, the ball will be seaming around all over the place. Maybe in 1 or 2 games, you'll get friendly conditions for seam bowlers. But I mean, just imagine, I want both of you to picture this. 35th over, Joss Butler batting against Mohammad Abbas. He'll golf swing him out of the ground. I mean, that's because, again, if Vernon Philander cannot cut the mustard in one-day cricket, Abbas can't either, at least not right now.
Yes, Ali, you correctly mentioned that Muhammad Abbas, yes, he is known for that kind of bowler who tries to bowl lengthy spells, tries to get batsmen out with his tricks. But you cannot use Abbas in one-day cricket as a death bowler. You can only use him, okay, for 3 to 4 hours with the new ball. That's okay. But as you mentioned that when a set batsman playing at 60 or 70, a player like Butler or Kohli or Dhoni, so what they can do with Abbas?
Could be devastating.
So that's the point.
Gentlemen, we have to leave it at that because we have to move on to our next segment. Rizwan Haider, Sama Saftar, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks. It's a pleasure.
We'll be back after a short break. When we come back, it's going to be squash. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's time now to get into squash, where the Egyptians have been dominating in Pakistan. It's good to see international squash happening here. In the Chief of Air Staff International Squash Tournament, we saw Mustafa Asal winning the final, and in the women's division, Frida Mohammed won. And in this particular tournament being held in Islamabad, the international squash competition, we saw an Egyptian again coming good, beating Farhan Mehboob, who we have with us on line right now. Farhan Mehboob, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Right, Farhan, I'm sure you'll be disappointed that you lost the final, but at the same time, I'm sure you'll be richer from the experience. I'm sure you learned a lot from this defeat.
Yeah, of course, it's a first of all, it's a part of game. Of course, I'm so disappointed because I lose close match today, but I learned something from this match because it's a tough sport. So definitely, I work out on my weakness, what I lost today. So definitely, I work hard, and inshallah, I'll be ready for the next tournaments in Pakistan or whatever in the international. So yes.
Well, Farhan, you reached the final, so you must be doing something right in the end. I mean, it just probably wasn't your day. Mohammad Al Shabani just got the better of you in the final. So, yes, of course, you know there's room for improvement, but you shouldn't be hard on yourself. You played very well throughout the tournament.
Yeah, of course, because see, every player is coming here for winning tournaments because every player are they playing much tournaments much tournaments comparing to Pakistani players because we need to move more play tournaments in international or in Pakistan because this is the right time to improve our ranking because they are coming from the straight away from the international tournament, so they have a lot of confidence comparing to Pakistani players, and we have that's kind of small tournaments in Pakistan or big tournaments, but they're playing like million of dollars tournaments in outside of Pakistan. So of course they have a talented player because the Egyptian guys are still in the top position. So I'm happy about my performance, and inshallah I will give my best in future.
Mehboob, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, the fact that we're having international squash tournaments in Pakistan is benefiting Pakistani players and Pakistani squash greatly. The fact that you get to play alongside Egypt's players, who are the best in the world, they take their squash very, very seriously, and they regularly compete in international competitions. This is something that you and many other squash players in Pakistan can learn a lot from. So these are very, very positive signs that we're having regular international tournaments here.
Yeah, of course, we are very happy because of this international tournaments in Pakistan regularly. Because you see, in the past, we playing like two tournaments in Pakistan, and then PSA are banning Pakistan for the tournaments, and this thing is not good for us because we are ranking. We lost our international ranking, and then we playing again after 2-3 months. There's two tournaments, so these things, they should provide biggest tournaments in Pakistan that good for Pakistani players, that we improve our ranking in the top position, because of we still after like my ranking is still like 72 in the world, so this is not a good ranking. So we need to focus on the tournaments. We need to focus on our international training schedules. We have to change that training schedules, that system, because this Air Marshal Shahid sir, the senior vice president of Pakistan, he helped squash a lot of this 2017 or 18 or 19. So inshallah ta'ala, the day is coming for Pakistan. So inshallah ta'ala, the Pakistani players are improving their squash, and inshallah ta'ala, we will be top soon, inshallah ta'ala, in this 2019 or 20.
Well, Farhan Mahboob, you're clearly a very thoughtful and conscientious athlete, and I have no doubt that you're going to see a great deal of success in your career going forward. We're going to leave it at that. Farhan Mahboob, thank you very much for speaking to us. Right, that's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.